for those of you who have, you know, a large bowl of Korean barbecue and, as I said, kimchi and some medici, boom, put it in there. Nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to steal it. Hey guys, Nathan here with the 2020 Kia Soul GT line with the 1.6 liter turbocharged engine. In my book, not only is the new Kia Soul one of the best commuters you can buy, but in this trim, it's one of the best cars in its class that you can buy. Today we're going to be talking about its overall comfort, cargo space, competition, and its dimensions, but most importantly, its funky interior, because there is a really cool thing you guys need to learn about inside. Think about what the other Kias looked like in the past, and they had a little bit more of a happy puppy dog look. Kia wanted something a little bit more aggressive this time, so for the 2020 year, they decided to go with a much more macho look, and they decided that they'd have different distinctive looks for each model. The X line looks a little bit more off-roady. The GT line looks a little bit more sporty, and part of the way they did that was with this design here. Now, if you look at where the grille is, you'll notice that this section of it, well, it isn't a grille. This is all solid plastic, but there is a little bit of air intakes around here and here. You also have components here and up there, which are for radar cruise control and pedestrian avoidance. As a matter of fact, this vehicle has a ton of gizmos that are available for it, and some of them you can see are integrated with the actual design. But there are also things with this design that are, well, useless. This area here, it looks like it would light up. It does not. Looks cool. It would be cooler if this was an LED that lit up because, well, they have LEDs that light up inside the vehicle. There is something else I wanted to mention about just the front end of this vehicle, and that's this section here, which has the turn signal and driving lights integrated, and it's unique to the GT line. Also, this little section here of this painted chromey thing underneath, once again, unique to the GT line. But that's not my favorite part. My favorite part is actually over here. I absolutely love these 18-inch wheels, which come with the GT line, and they're wrapped in Goodyear Eagle rubber, which is pretty cool considering that that's fairly expensive tires for a fairly inexpensive car. Now, at 165 inches in total length, it's not a big car despite its interior capacity. That's a good thing, but you know what else is good? Especially for up here in Colorado? It's ground clearance, 6.7 inches roughly. That's not bad at all. That's really good if you live in snow country and you have to get up and over things. Sadly, it's not all-wheel drive, but its overall design, a lot of people think, well, it's kind of like a crossover. No, it's not, because once again, no all-wheel drive, but you do have this shape. Now, if you look at it, Kia Souls have always been the same in terms of overall shape. Basically a two-box design. One box, two box, right? But they decided to make this one a little bit sportier by having the rear end kick up and then having this little neat spot here to separate the panels. Very cool. I like the look. So do many of you. And you know what else is cool? The fact that they actually have these neat lines over the fenders. It kind of makes the wheels stand out even more. Overall design, I think they did a hell of a job. This is the party piece. The 1.6 liter turbo. Oh man, 201 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque, and it's hooked up to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Unfortunately, there is no manual option with this engine. It's kind of a bummer, but you know what isn't? 29 mpg combined. That is an efficient and powerful engine. If you want the base model, you can get it with a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with much less horsepower, obviously. But if you get the base model version of the Kia Soul, you can get a manual transmission. Normally I don't do this, but this is kind of interesting. Normally you have a plastic engine cover, and it's just a piece of plastic that might help a little bit with noise, but this is serious. It's got this thick foam, and it weighs, I don't know, 8 pounds or so. The whole purpose of this is to really knock down the engine noise and the amount of buzz and vibration you get from the powertrain. It's an interesting idea. Man, hefty. Fast. Yes, it's quick. I would say on the border of being really quick. I'm in sport mode. I'm gonna rev it a little bit. It doesn't really do much because of the dual clutch. And then take off. It takes a second. Yeah. Woo, pretty good, right? Fastest way to launch this car so far that I've been playing with is not messing around with the manual modes, either paddle shifters or using the gear lever going back and forth. The fastest way to make this car launch is very little torquing and letting it take care of itself. So if I come to a partial halt, right about stopping, and I just basically just stomp on it, it actually spools up faster than torquing it. See? And yeah, it moves really good. There's a lot going on back here, and this is one of the places where Kia has been making major changes from the beginning. Remember, this car wasn't even predicted to be that big of a seller, and it turned out to be one of their best sellers ever. I think some of that had to do with the fact that it was a unique looking car, and in the back, that was one of the places where Kia focused on making it look different for each generation, and they didn't stop here. The look is, well, it looks like it's a continuous light that goes almost all the way around, but it's not. This section lights up, but this doesn't, except for the center light here. Still looks pretty cool. So does this. Now, in their previous generation, they did have a similar component that was a little bit lower and a little bit more square in shape. This one, the way it sits, well, it certainly does look different sitting out there, right? But at the same time, you could still see how much glass you have back here, and it's not too bad. Now, this area here looks like it's functional, but it's not. It's just a dimple. There's no vents, there's nothing like that. But I wanted to show you something else, which is a mix of both being functional and unnecessary, but cool at the same time. This diffuser, it's really not doing anything. It's a nice little piece of plastic, but it's not really built for a vehicle that doesn't exactly go 200 miles per hour. Neither is this twin center exhaust. It's not exactly a twin center exhaust. It's a single exhaust that has two ports, but they're very clever in how they put it out there. And for those of you who decide to tune this vehicle, there's plenty of space to put two big fat exhausts right here. Listen to this. I'm gonna hit it. It's got really good performance, but it doesn't sound like it does. Exhaust note is a little bit on the anemic side. And for having that dual port, badass looking rear exhaust, you would think it would sound a little bit better. Fortunately, as I mentioned before, there's plenty of space to throw on some sort of dual pipey thingy from some aftermarket company and make it sound really cool. And some people would say, I don't want to hear the exhaust. Well, why are you buying a sporty version of the Kia Soul then? Well, why not buy yourself something that's a little bit more mellow? That's kind of the thing. This car has a split personality. There's a lot of stuff that's great for mellow, and there's a lot of stuff that's great for sport. But it's not all just one or the other, you know what I mean? Let's say you have a ton of kimchi and you got to put it inside your Kia Soul. Well, you're in luck because there is a ton of cargo space for such a small vehicle. 24.2 cubic feet of cargo space behind the rear seats. That is really good for such a small vehicle. Not to mention the fact that it has a wide opening that's relatively tall. And there's something else here, which I didn't really realize until I looked. Yeah, okay, it's a donut, a temporary tire. But look at the extra space you have in here. I mean, that is several inches right there where you can put extra stuff in there. So for those of you who have, a large bowl of Korean barbecue and, as I said, kimchi and some medici, boom, put it in there. Nobody's gonna see it, nobody's gonna steal it. That's impressive. But there's more. Check this out. You pull up this handle right here. See this little handle? Yay, pull it up, push it down. Now, you're thinking that's pretty good space. Check out the numbers. 62.1 cubic feet of cargo space. Now that If you think about it, it's like a small delivery truck. That is a lot of space for such a small vehicle. Another attribute to having a box for an interior is lots of space. I mean lots. I do not struggle to get in and out of this car. I barely have to drop my butt. Headroom is really good. It has a sunroof, which is small, and that might be one of the few gripes I have, other than a couple spots where some of the plastics are a little bit on the cheap side. But in terms of seating comfort, excellent. Good bolsters, good height, good legroom. I cannot complain about this interior. And the same story continues in the back. Hello. Let's get into the back because lots of space. I'm 6'1", and I have a ton of legroom behind myself. And the space for my feet, and I have kind of big chunky shoes, good space there. And headroom, good space there. The seats do not slide forward and aft. Not that they really need to, but you do get this, which allows you to put your drinks right there. The design is nice, but once you're back here, there is a bit of a penalty. Really hard plastic, so if you leave your elbow up here, it's kind of, not so comfortable. But in terms of overall comfort, seats feel pretty good. It's not something I often show, but it's impressive in this car, and that is its turning circle, 17.4 feet. Check this out. That is very, very tight. Nice thing about these small cars is the fact that they can turn on a dime. This thing, well, it's a large dime, but 17.4 feet? That is really good. .25 inches of goodness right here. Lots of stuff to do, but let's start here. Look at that. This is the color theme for your LEDs that pop on your doors. Now, you can select several different ones. Look at this. These are themes based on the driver's personality. So there's party time, hey yo, that's the one I'm choosing. There's traveling, there's romance, cafe, and midnight city. I don't know. I guess I'm a cut between hey yo and party time. Now, let's say you only want to go and have the glow set up, so that way you don't have to worry about theme. You can basically choose colors, that's the point. So there's blue flight, peaceful forest, dreamy purple, violet cloud, orange delight, golden insight, refreshing sea, and super red. And of course I've chosen super red. So pretty cool, you can play with those. And that basically just goes onto the door panels. Now if you're driving, the upper door panel will not actuate, so you won't be able to see that. But if you come to a stop, then it will start working. And it basically is a bunch of little LEDs that flicker in the light. But while you're driving, the lower section will show a little bit of LED pulsing with your music. Okay, so from there, the other stuff you can show is your map, and that's the whole screen. I like that. You're able to jump into navigation and of course into your media. And the thing is, that's very cool, is that you're able to move the screen over and change around what's going on, including going from your map to what's going on with your Bluetooth. I like being able to do that. You can actually break it up into 3 pieces if you wanted to as well. Love it. But let me tell you about something else that's not here, but up there. The heads-up display. Unlike some systems that beam onto your glass, well, I guess the way that this one is set up, you have to have a separate panel. You can lower it. It takes a while. I like having it. So up it goes. You can adjust the heads-up display system using your center IP, using these buttons. And it'll allow you to adjust its rotation, its brightness, its speed size, its color, and its height, which actually works really well for me. And by doing that, it'll allow you to have multiple drivers who can actually see what's on the display screen, and I like having it on a separate screen because it doesn't really force my eyes to look at anything different. I can quickly glance and see what I need to see. It works really well. For this model, the way it sits here, its MSRP, $28,710. Now that may seem like a lot, but it is fully loaded with almost every conceivable option you can get. And when you compare it to the competition, it has a lot more. In fact, this car represents a lot more for your money. And that might be one of the main reasons I love it, because you get so much for the dough. Now look, if you don't want to pay 28 grand, you can buy one of these for about 17.5 and then build it up from there. I've looked at a few, I've actually considered a few, had a teenage daughter who asked for one of these. And I said, shut up, because I wanted to drive it, not her. Thank you so much for joining me for the Fast Lane Car. This is Nathan. Don't forget to go to TFLcar.com for news, views, real world reviews, and more Kia love. Mwah!